Hello, everybody. Welcome to the DataFist Gaming Podcast. I am Jeffrey. I'm also known as DataFist. I am doing this podcast because I want to create a community of positive gamers and as well as serve the anime and comics community. But it's mostly a gaming podcast. I love everything nerdy, but gaming is my number one thing. I want this to be a community podcast, so there's going to be a jot form that's attached to wherever you can listen to this or watch this. And I want, if you can, it would be really great if you gave me suggestions. What games do you want to hear about? What are you playing? What topics do you want us to talk about? Help us produce the podcast so we can make a really cool community podcast. What I do is I tend to go to a lot of conventions and I host panels. And as you can see, I post content every now and again, and I host this show. The goal is to really just create a great community show and do something really cool for the community, like live shows and stuff like that. All I know is that I wanted to start and evolve this show consistently long term. So thanks for listening. Hey, you. I'm your player too. The first thing I wanted to talk about is Tekken 6's release. It is one of the best fighting games in a long time. I feel like Street Fighter just found its legs with this game. And I gotta say, it was really smart for them to switch directors because the new blood is really important. Side note. Okay, I need you guys to comment below or wherever and tell me, what do you think of the character select music in Street Fighter 6? Because I have mixed feelings. It's growing on me because I have no choice. Every time I pick a character, that song is playing and is drilling into my head. I think it would have been easy to overpass it if one of the lines wasn't "I'd rather break bread, but I'd rather break breakfast." Me and my friend laugh really hard every time that line comes up. It's one of the best, most ridiculous lines I've ever heard. We could tell they were going for a Third Strike vibe, but didn't quite make it, which really sucks because the Third Strike lyrics are iconic. Let's get it on now. Come on and take your first pick. Get it on now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Third Strike's music was up here. If you like it, no knocking it. It's just really funny to listen to. One thing about Tekken 6 that I've been kind of preaching is that this is the perfect game to spend all of Capcom's rent on. The drive system works really well. For people who just want to play Street Fighter and not use the drive system, you can totally do that. It'll play like Street Fighter 4 and it'll be really fun. You can have back and forth without using the system. For those of you who are climbing the ranked ladder, you need to learn how to drive rush. You need to learn how to parry and drive rush. If you can parry and drive rush as well as react to DIs, you're fine. You're going to have a great time. You'll probably hit diamond inside of 2 weeks. The game is so good. You're just itching for them to announce your favorite character. I'm sitting back playing, and my friend's, he's a tournament goer, so he's playing, and I'm like, man, I can't wait for them to announce Sagat. Because I want all of my favorite characters in this game because it plays so well, and of course, it's shiny and new. But in Street Fighter 5, I didn't want Dudley in it. Just because I love Dudley. I'm not playing that game. Don't put him in it. But in Street Fighter 6, it's so good. It plays so smoothly. I want all of my favorite characters. I want Sagat. I want Dudley. I want Yoon. I want Yang. I want every character in this game due to the fact that it plays so well and due to the fact that they're actually really expanding on the characters. So for those of you who don't know, Street Fighter 6 is the latest in the timeline. So if you have characters that you want from Third Strike to appear in Street Fighter 6, they can, and they'll be aged up and more experienced. So a lot of people have been asking for Sean. Can Sean show up in 6? Yeah, he'd be in his 20s. So Sean could totally be very good at fighting by now because he would have been training with Ken and potentially his sister. He could totally be really good, a mix of Shoto and Grappler, which would be a totally new mix because, he trained with Shotos and he trained with Grappler. He'd be so interesting to play. This is the perfect game to bring back anyone. And the story thus far would allow a lot of people to come back. I was talking to a friend of mine because I'd watched a long lore video, several, just to confirm because I don't want to give you guys bad information, that 3 people have the Satsui no Hado. Sakura has the Satsui no Hado. Sagat was tempted by the Satsui no Hado, and I also think Dan was tempted by the Satsui no Hado. So you can bring a lot of character, well, at least these characters, back in a very unique way, and also you can also continue to test the waters for other Capcom properties with guest characters, because everyone loved Akira in 5. I would love for Akira to show up in 6. So I just really want. The game is so good. I'm pressuring the developers to put in every character. Like, I don't know how people feel about him, but I thought Hakan was a great character. He's a family man who's cool, great wife, businessman, loves oil wrestling. He's just a great character. So I'm hoping that they bring as many people back as possible. Now, to talk about some things that I'm speculating on. I usually hate speculation because I find it boring, but this is something that I'm excited about. I think Evil Ryu's gone because Ryu has the power of emptiness, but you know who has the Satsui no Hado that's not actually the Satsui? Bosch. So if you played World Tour mode, I think that instead of Evil Ryu coming back, they'll replace him with Bosch. It would make a lot of sense. Just because he has the psycho power that was infused in him from JP, he can come back as like the Evil Ryu replacement, and overcome the psycho power if they wanted to. It's like he's now just a dude with Evil Ryu's moveset, and he tapped into the psycho power because he, conquered it. Will that happen? No. Capcom tends to tell really basic stories, which is fine. But the likelihood of it happening, it would make sense, and it wouldn't like hurt their canon at all. Or we'll just get Evil Ryu again, and it'll be an Elseworld character where it's like, we put him here for the sake of putting him here. Who were some of the characters you want in Street Fighter 6 and why? Like, I'm excited to just see characters again. I loved Uni. I loved Gouki, Yoon Yang, Dudley, Q, G. Give us everybody. This game is running really smoothly, and I'm just excited for its growth and its character roster to expand, because by the end of 5, that roster was massive, and I can't wait for that to be the same case for Street Fighter 6. One of the funniest things about Street Fighter is the Aki reveal trailer, and everyone in Maximilian's chat was like, we could fix her. we could fix her. You can't fix Aki. Aki doesn't need to be fixed. I actually really enjoyed the way she looks. Fang was annoying in the worst kind of way possible. He was a villain who just sucked up to the big bad evil guy in the worst way possible. But Aki looks like she could be jury adjacent, meaning it looks like she could potentially have her own plans, her own agenda. What she wants, no clue. All I know is I really love her design. I loved that trailer. She looked so freaking scary. It was the best. When she like flashes behind the main character and her eyes turn black, I'm like, yes, this is really cool. Everyone's like, we can totally fix her. Please don't. I don't know what you fixing her would look like, and I don't want to find out because I like her the way she is. She's freaking perfect. That Aki reveal trailer is great. I'm going to speculate that Aki's probably going to get revealed around October because it's autumn and she's supposed to be scary, so she'll probably be a Halloween release. And I'm hoping she's Rushdown due to the fact that she has really long nails. So a mix of Poison, Rushdown will be fantastic. That's what I think about Street Fighter 6. It's great. Its starting foundation, its legs are perfect, and all I want is more. That's how good the game is. When all you can complain, the only complaint you have about the game is that you want more, or something nitpicky like the the select music being bad. Yeah, the game's great. On another note, skipping to another fighting game, now we get to talk about Tekken 8. Oh my god. As a Tekken fan, I've been playing Tekken since Tekken... Okay, my first Tekken was Tekken 4, but I went all the way back to play Tekken 3. I've been a Tekken fan ever since. Whenever people ask me, who do you play? I play the entire roster. I just do. Because one day, when I got Tekken 4 back in the day when buying video games was expensive and you had to make one game last like if not a whole year, I just sat down and I went through every character's move list and I hit them. I hit every button one by one. And I just learned what people wanted to do from their characters and what they could do from their characters. And over time, I just kept playing. I love Tekken. It's like a habit now to play Tekken. The game looks so good, especially because because Tekken 7 is so old. The graphical fidelity is just so high now. It's absolutely insane. Every character looks fantastic, and I love that the way that they fight is based on the story now, because usually the Tekken story and the way the game plays don't really correlate to one another. But now that like there's a world war and it's in full swing, everyone is coming out of the gate with their most dangerous moves. Jack is walking around with a railgun. Every time he stomps, he creates a literal electric field, which is freaking insane. Nina's using guns. just just straight twin pistols. And everybody else has their own unique attack, and set and even audio cues that make them extraordinarily dangerous because, war. I'm going to guess that Tekken 8 won't even have a tournament because I think Tekken 7 and 6 didn't have tournaments, like story-wise, because, war. It's like there's no time for this. So I'm super excited. The gameplay matches the story. The story is the end of the Mishima story. I don't know what to expect. Part of me is speculating that Kazuya is going to win, just because. Just why not? I think it'd be a great end, just like the devil wins. Get over it. Nah, due to the new stage released in Raven's trailer, we're expecting Kazuya to be purified and for him to hate that greatly. But that's just a guess based on context clues. But yeah, the game looks great. It looks like it plays great. Every character is gorgeous. I'm a big fan of the fact that they just was like every character gets a crazy moveset with, unique camera angles, and they also have the heat system. They created the heat system, and I like it. I actually like it. There are a few issues with it that a friend of mine brought up because he's FGC. I'm FGC, fighting game community, which is if you mess up in Tekken 8, that's like 75% of your health gone because you can eat an attack. You get armor on heat activation, which means you can potentially convert into a really messed up combo. So we don't know if damage scaling is going to happen when you do these moves so that people don't get like their entire health bar deleted for pressing the wrong button or dodging at the wrong time or blocking the wrong way. So potentially that'll get fixed or rebalanced is the best way to say it. I'm super excited for this game. Aside from the aesthetics, the story finally matching the gameplay, and the heat system, it's just been a really long time, and it's time to play Tekken. Who are your favorite characters in Tekken? First off, please put that in the comments and tell me how excited you are for Tekken. I'm freaking losing my mind. The freaking Raven trailer is the best. First off, thank you Namco Bandai for bringing back the original Raven. I liked Master Raven a lot, but when I saw original Raven, I was like, I'm picking this dude up. And now that he's using shadow clones consistently, there's no way I'm not picking him up. He's just so freaking cool. I love him, and I can't wait to play him. And that's one thing that I'm really enjoying about Tekken 8, even though I haven't gotten to play it, is that every character feels really, really distinct. Like in a lot of fighting games, they're like, our characters are unique and distinct, and they are. But looking at Tekken and these reveal trailers and how these people fight, I'm just like, they really are paying the rent with these characters. I'm a little disappointed with Asuka, but it's Asuka. She's a turtler. She's mostly defense, so she's not going to be super flashy or whatever, but hopefully she has some cool new moves. They brought back June, so the Kazama style will live, and I can enjoy using the Kazama style with the original, because I like playing June. Woo woo. So everyone looks really unique, and that's so exciting. And speaking of unique and new, Azucena, I respectfully call her Coffee. Coffee is the greatest. Because Coffee is dodge, 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 hit real hard. And it's the best. I loved watching Arslan Ash and the rest of the Tekken finalists for EVO 2023, watching the trailers. Arslan looked like he really loved Raven. I know I lost my mind over Raven. I've watched the trailer like 30 times by myself. And Azucena, Coffee, people love her too because of the dodging mechanic she has. And it looks like she's going to hit harder than Xiao Yu, because Xiao Yu also has a dodging mechanic that is fully integrated into her moveset. Like Xiao Yu can dodge almost everything, and Azucena also can dodge almost everything and just hit really hard. Now, let's be honest, even though she can dodge everything, getting used to doing it is going to take a lot of time, because you have to know what your opponent wants to do and then be able to time it. So there will be people who just embarrass you with Coffee, and there will be people who can't dodge to save their lives. So I also, just to go back to Street Fighter 6 for a second, someone told me that like no one's gonna learn the perfect parry, and then we watched a match in Capcom Cup where one dude perfect parries. Like perfect parrying is difficult, but I guarantee you by year 3, perfect parrying will become more common because 1, it's fun, 2, it has amazing advantages, and like 3, it's a great way to stunt on people during the FGC. Now back to Tekken 8. I'm excited for it. There's a lot going on with it, and I feel like we haven't even seen the half. Like mostly because we haven't seen half of the roster or the release date. But I'm expecting something great from the story as well and how they wrap this up because Tekken 7's story was fantastic. I was on that ride, and it was an actual story. Like Kazuya gets revealed to be the devil. Heihachi was scheming, and this is one thing that I hope every other game company picks up. Akuma's guest story was good. Usually when guests show up in video games, it's like, oh, I've been transported to another world. I don't know what I'm doing here. Let me beat some people up until a portal home opens up. Or they're just there to hit people. There's like no story. The story is usually like, I don't understand this world. How do I get home? Boo. Stop that. Stop that, developers. It's not a good story. Stop that. Turn that all the way off. Integrate them into your story. And yes, I understand it's difficult because of contracts and IP and character protection, but like, be creative. Akuma's story was like, I have a friend. She wants me to beat you up. I'm going to do that. He did. Or he almost did, which is great. That was great. It was simple and unique. Could have been better, but like, I'm not expecting us to shoot to the moon on our first really unique character story. So I'm happy with what we got. So hopefully you guys do that more. Tekken 8 looks fantastic. Tell me which characters you want to see in the comments and why you like Tekken. I'm going to give you a few of mine that I want to come back. I want Kazumi to come back, the woman that, married Heihachi, and she did not disappoint. I want Sobieska to come back because she's a Siri reference from The Witcher. I want that back really badly because I also enjoyed playing her. She's also quite difficult, but I enjoyed her. Yoshimitsu, especially because, they're at war, and I want to see what war techniques Yoshimitsu uses. And I'm going to leave it at that for now. I would love to see actually Christy Monteiro come back. They used to do this thing in Tekken 4 where you can skin swap. So like, let's say I picked Eddie Gordo. If you pressed a different button, in 4, if you pick Christy Monteiro and you press the button, I think it was like the top 2, square or triangle, you'd get Eddie Gordo. And I wish they would use that a little bit more, because it's just like a cheap way to get in characters you couldn't get otherwise until we get Tekken Tag Tournament 3, which I'm hoping is next. So hopefully we get Eddie Gordo and Christy Monteiro, Raven and Master Raven, for those of like you who really liked Master Raven more than Raven. Hwoarang and Baek To-san. Hwoarang did surpass Baek in terms of like martial arts, like skill and accolades, but hopefully we get like a skin swap of Baek, because I really enjoyed Baek. Now I also wanted to talk about Baldur's Gate 3 really quickly. I have not played it, but I just wanted to talk about it really quickly because all the things that I'm seeing about it make me excited. Please put in the comments below how you're enjoying it. Tell me everything without spoiling. So when I play it on the 8th, because I bought it for PlayStation, and I'm really excited to play it. I bought it for PlayStation because I wanted the stability. I have a really small laptop, so it throttles when I play any game. So if you're judging me like, boo, you're playing it on PlayStation, you're right. Boo, I am playing it on PlayStation. But when I can afford it again, I will buy a better computer and I will play it on PC with all of the mods. There are great mods for it so far. There are character mods and race mods. I'm like super excited to replay it. I think it's going to be one of the games that I play 100 times over. Like, I think the only games that I've played like multiple times that I've really enjoyed: Mass Effect Trilogy, Tekken, and Bayonetta. I've played those games into the ground. So I think Baldur's Gate will be my next one. I wanted to talk about it really quickly because there's this weird article that was going around for a while that everyone was talking about that said, like, RPG developers want people to understand that Baldur's Gate 3 is like a rarity. Don't expect RPGs to be like that. And to that I say, no thanks. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to expect more from RPG makers because $60 to $70 is $60 to $70. Give me an amazing game. Larian has done it 3 times. They have done it with Baldur's Gate 3. They've done it with Divinity 1 and 2, and they even gave us a definitive edition for Divinity Original Sin 2. So I don't want to hear this nonsense about like RPGs. You don't expect this from RPGs. First off, most RPGs aren't even RPGs anymore. They're action RPGs, which means you're wasting a lot of resources trying to integrate the game to being smooth. And that's difficult. Just those of you who don't know, I used to make video games for quite a long time. I've made traditional RPGs and I've made fighting games. Those were my specialities. So I know how to make a game, and I continue to try to keep up with game development so I'm not the guy who's just like saying things without thinking. Yeah, no, traditional RPGs that are turn-based or even stylishly turn-based, like Persona 5, they're way easier to make than an action RPG. Just simply for the fact that balancing is usually a numbers game versus like, oh, this character can backflip off a building and all of these moves are contextual. So them going, these developers saying, don't expect that because I say step up your game. Step up your game or we won't buy anything from you. That's one thing I wanted to talk to you about, because the reason why we're getting bad games or games that are not great or unfinished is because we keep buying them. We keep pre-ordering them. There's a movement out there to tell people to stop pre-ordering games. It's been happening since PS2 games. They're like, stop pre-ordering games because it tells developers that they can do whatever they want. And I agree. But I also disagree. I say take a nuanced approach. Stop pre-ordering games that you're unsure about or that you don't want or that have disappointed you. So I'm not going to buy anything from Ubisoft for a while because Ubisoft disappoints me consistently. Like, all of the Watch Dogs games are disappointments. Like, Watch Dogs 2 had a fantastic story. I'll give it that. It was worth a playthrough. But then the sandbox is dead. It's boring. So I've wasted $60 in my opinion. So really be careful about what you pre-order. That way, at least the industry knows what it has to do. I'll tell you everything I pre-ordered because I also want to deliver as much content to you as I can on my channel. I pre-ordered Armored Core 6 because I know it. Oh, yeah. I'm going to tell you everything I pre-ordered and why, and I'm going to start a series called Is It Fun? And a series just telling you what not to buy because I can tell from a trailer if a game's going to be good or not, or finished. But I want to focus on fun, not quality, because quality is subjective. I've played a lot of games that are bad that are fun as heck. So I won't be focusing on if a game is good. I'll be focusing on if it's fun. However, I will warn people if I think a game will not be fun and to save their money, because sometimes, shovelware can get expensive, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But let me go through the list. I pre-ordered Armored Core 6 because, one, I've been an Armored Core fan since Armored Core 4, and two, with all the experience that that studio has had making Soulsborne games, you can see it in the way that the actual mechs move and the way that they attack, that all of that's coming together. Where I am skeptical, though, is how they deliver story. And since I now know what the studio does, I have to understand that I'm probably not going to get a whole lot of story from cutscenes or anything, which is what I used to enjoy. It's probably going to be flavor text and environmental storytelling. So I have to just get used to that. But I bought Armored Core 6 because I know I'm personally going to have fun with it. I bought Spider-Man 2 because I love Spider-Man, and Spider-Man 1 delivered in every way, shape, and possible. I know it's going to be fun. Plus, I want to deliver content and stream it to you. Side note, if you ever go on TikTok, there's a group of streamers who all they stream is Miles Morales and or Spider-Man just swinging through New York. And I gotta say, for like a good couple minutes, it's actually really worth watching just because it's majestic. So I also, once again, like I just told you, I pre-ordered Baldur's Gate 3 because I know Larian Studios. I still haven't finished Divinity Original Sin 2, I'm not gonna lie. I just got overwhelmed and I put it down. But because of the way they talked about how you can progress in Baldur's Gate 3, I know I'll finish that. And, there's relationship stuff. I love games with relationships in them. It just drives me. So that's going to be really fun for me to play. And I can't wait. I wish I was playing it now with all of you PC people, but I'm not because I bought it on PlayStation and I didn't want to buy it on PC just yet. I also pre-ordered City Skylines 2. It's one of the few games I screamed for when it got announced. I was like, oh wait, I know what this is. I know what this, it's City Skylines. I was like, I don't usually scream for games. I'm usually like, okay, this game's getting released. I gotta write articles about it, make videos, whatever. There are a few series that I watch or see that will make me lose my mind, and City Skylines is one of them. I used to just sit back and build cities listening to 60s music, and that was my vibe. If it's not for you, I totally understand, but when I sit back and I make my vision of a city, oh man, I just vibe. I got that for PC because I wanted the mods, and I'm so stoked to play it with mods, with more radio stations and stuff like that. It's super exciting. The feature that got me, well, I was hooked on it when I first played it, but a feature that's really great that I can't wait to stream and play with, like, all of you and have fun with it, is you can click on any human being and just watch their day in your city. It's so freaking cool. So yeah, I pre-order City Skylines 2 because I know I'm going to enjoy it. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I know I'm personally going to enjoy it, and it's fun to watch. I also play with like without the economy mode on, just because that kind of math I'm not very good at. So I just build and have fun. But everything I bought is because I know it'll be fun and valuable for me, and the quality is going to be good. I also just bought a game last night that I'm super excited about because BlazBlue actually licensed out their IP to someone in China to make a game. What is it? It's like BlazBlue something Entropy, and I'm gonna post some footage here and in the links below. I like it. It's a roguelike game, and let's be real, I'm desperate for BlazBlue. I watch Arc System Works make Guilty Gear after Guilty Gear, and then all these side games that weren't as good, DNF Duel, oh my god, and then they made Grand Blue, and I'm like, oh my god. All of these games were beautiful, but less, like, mechanically dense as BlazBlue, and that really upset me. the blueprint for perfect anime fighter is here. It's right here. And then they made Cross Tag Battle, and I was like, I want to like it, but it's bad. I was talking to my friend about DNF Duel and Grand Blue, and he asked me, like, hey, Jeff, why aren't these games, like, really good? Why aren't they taking off? And I'm like, they're not good, they're not taking off because they're mechanically bad. Like, in the original Grand Blue, if I'm correct, and I believe I am, you couldn't jump. You couldn't jump in a fighting game. What? It's supposed to be, like, a really bare-bones, simple fighting game to teach people fighting games. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you want your game to be simple and for people to be introduced to it, do it like Street Fighter 6 is done. Have like a simpler control scheme, or do what Tekken has done and have button shortcuts that allow you to just pop moves out much quicker by hitting like R1 and then a button of your choice. Find little things to add to your game that'll have a big effect for new people versus basing the game off of new people. Because what's going to happen is those new people will eventually stop being new people and your whole mechanic dies inside of a couple months or even weeks, depending on how much the person likes the fighting game. I don't think it's an effective method. And he's like, he asked me, hey, how can these games be better? Pay attention to the blueprint that BlazBlue already lay out. Have a burst mechanic and have overheads. We were watching the DNF Duel tournament, and we were like, yo, Swiftmaster and Launcher are busted, and no one else could really do much about them. But we were watching block strings, and honestly, in those games, you could just crouch block and be fine. There's no guard break. From what I could tell, there was no guard break, and there was no overheads. And there was no burst. If you had those mechanics, that would fix the game instantly. Overheads would make defending difficult. And it would also make attacking a little bit more easy. Since you have to really be aggressive in these games, having an overhead means that you can stop someone who's attacking you. And having an overhead also means you can open someone up who's been turtling the entire game. And it's super simple. That's not hard because the animations are already in the game. Just lock them as overheads, and if someone is crouch blocking, boop, they get hit. Also, a burst mechanic is you hit a button, and no matter what's happening, a person gets pushed back. And a burst mechanic is necessary in anime fighters because of the franticness of the games. You could have literally 100-hit combos or just strings that continue, and the reset window is really small, so people who aren't used to like seeing that small, like maybe couple frame reset window, they just hit a button and they push people back, and it gives them the opportunity to fight. Sometimes that's all they need is the opportunity to fight, and in these games they don't have them, and that really sucks, and that's what made them not great. Getting people into an IP is not hard. make the game good and then add some good story and context, but they just failed mechanically, and that really hurt my feelings. So give us Blaze Blue back. That's why I was desperate when I saw like Blaze Blue something entropy. I was like, I'm playing it. It's on sale now, so if you're watching this and it's like you're watching this within like a few days, you can go on Steam and buy it for like $13. It's on sale, and it's good. It's a fun game. It's a roguelite, so be prepped for that. So you will die a lot, but it's just nice to play Blaze Blue characters, and I hope they fully take the IP as far as they can and include every Blaze Blue character, all of them. All of them, because I want to play as all of them. I could play that forever until, we get an actual Blaze Blue. So I think that they licensed out Blaze Blue so they can, one, see if it has opportunity to make money in different genres, and two, see what the interest is in Blaze Blue. So if you're a fan of Blaze Blue, I would suggest either like buying Central Fiction on Steam because it's a fantastic fighting game, or buying this Entropy game because, it looks like a test to see, how much money this IP can make in other places. And one, the game is fun. So I'm not gonna ever recommend a game that isn't fun to you, ever. So the game is actually fun, but it is a roguelike, so be prepared to die a lot. I've also gotten through it pretty quickly, just because I'm used to roguelikes and I really, really enjoy it. What makes it fun, other than the fact that you're using your favorite Blaze Blue characters, is the fact that you're really limited, and that as you continue, the roguelike staples work really well with fighting game characters. Because you have to unlock certain moves that you would have had normally in the regular Central Fiction. And then you get like ridiculous buffs that make no sense on top of it. Like I was playing as Mai, and one of my favorite buff series is that I have a ring of fire that comes around me, and not only one, now I have two, and now it's evolved. So they have synergies with their upgrades, which is really funny. A lot of roguelikes don't actually have that. Like they'll synergize on accident, or synergize one thing is another. But no, they have step ladder power-ups or synergies that show up when the prerequisites have been met. And I enjoy that. It may be reminiscent of Hades, because if you have certain skills in Hades, you may unlock a combination skill. That kind of happens in Blaze Blue Entropy. So it's actually really fun and simple. And I want it to be more complex because I'm used to the fighting game. But for now, it's like all you need. And the more moves you unlock, then the more creative you get with your character. And it does feel like, oh man, that combo fiend that I liked being in Central Fiction, you can be in this roguelike. But you just have to survive long enough to unlock a good chunk of your moves. So yes, I'm really hoping they bring back Blaze Blue. And I seriously want them to take advantage of all of the new things that have been happening in space with, like, Guilty Gear and friggin' Grand Blue and D&D, or what is it? DNF Duel. So yeah. But I will put out a quick warning. Unless you really like Call of Duty with magic, Immortals of Aveum will probably not be your game. I can just tell that this is a test for something else. But, remember Forspoken and how it was a test? It was a tech demo for Final Fantasy 16. I think Immortals is a tech demo for something else. It is a full spectacle, I can tell, but it also feels like this is setting up for another game that is waiting in the wings. And from some producer, I'm not sure, it does have full presentation to be like, this could be our new flagship game. I can tell from the gameplay footage and from the story footage, it's not. And one, because the main character is written weird and annoying, and I'm sorry, but he is. And two, the presentation tells me, and the gameplay tells me, it's not going to resonate with fans. I can just feel it, because the magic system feels really basic. It's not really doing anything innovative, because I can just replace everything this character is doing with guns, which usually for me that would set my brain afire. I love mages to the end of time. I love magic. But when I look at this game, it doesn't feel magical. If I looked at it immediately and went, this is Call of Duty with magic. Now here's the good thing. It could do what Call of Duty couldn't. It could tell an amazing story that gets me from start to finish and somehow have also this crazy multiplayer mode. I don't think it's going to do that. So for those of you who are thinking about Immortals, what I would do is wait for the reviews and the gameplay trailers and footage to come out and what people are saying and see what's up. But this is not a game I think people should pre-order. So hold off on that. But games you should pre-order if you're interested in, I would say Armored Core, because you know where you're getting into. Spider-Man, you know it's not going to disappoint. You know, Miles Morales' story was obvious, still a fun game. But Spider-Man 2, they're about to knock that out of the park. They're going to knock it out of the park. Also, BlazBlue Entropy, if you're looking for anything BlazBlue or if you're looking for a roguelike, buy that. It is fun. It is cheap. At max price, it's $20. It's also early access, so you're going to have the advantages of all the updates over time, and it's not going to cost you a ton of money. What else did I pre-order that I know is going to be good? For those of you who like city builders or games that you can relax with, pre-order City Skylines 2. If you want an RPG, Baldur's Gate. No, it'll take some getting used to because it is based off of D&D. Once you get used to it and you get into it, that game will eat your day alive, and I am excited for that to happen for you. I want to talk about Scott Pilgrim versus the World really quick. The anime had its trailer release, and oh my god, I'm super excited about it. Like, I love Scott Pilgrim versus the World so much. I gave one away to my ex, and I'm really sad. I had 2 copies. I have one of all of the comics in color in a pack, and I'm gonna buy another one so I can have a sealed copy. I have the video game, which is the best. I have the movie. Like, I have everything Scott Pilgrim. I am that guy, and I continue to be that guy. What's really interesting about Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is I recommend that everyone reads it because it has a great hidden story about life. Like, Scott's not a great person, and everyone in his life is also walking on this like path of trying to figure out who they are. And what I really like about Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is it's not teenagers. These are adults. These are people in their 20s. No, Steven's 26. These are people in their 20s trying to figure out life. And Steven and Wallace is in his 30s. These are people trying to figure out life. They're figuring out themselves. They're chasing their dreams, and they're just kind of doing their best, and also realizing that, like, man, nothing's perfect. And one thing I like about Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is nothing's perfect, and it never is perfect in this book. It doesn't even have a perfect ending. But you read through it, and it's the funniest thing ever, and it's extremely relatable. The dialogue is perfect. I highly recommend people read Scott Pilgrim vs. the World front to back. Watch the movie, and when this anime comes out, watch it, because it's not just entertainment. This show, this movie, this comic really did like change how I view life. I watched Scott's life, and my friends who like I'm really close with, we all watch Scott's life, and we're like, man, we got to change how we live. Like, we love the books, but it literally put a spotlight on us, the reader, to go like, man, we gotta change change stuff because this is not working out. The books gave really entertaining and real ways of starting that change, and I loved it because, like I said, it's real. It's not like hopeful nonsense. Yes, Scott has like ridiculous powers, but it's not isekai nonsense where he's the best. He's actually the worst, and it's great. And I really recommend everyone watch it. The movie, please read the books. The comics are the best things ever, and the jokes in there are friggin' perfect. And it's also really inclusive in terms of just like everyone's feelings and perspectives and how they're all dealing with the same problem. And I really enjoy that. And I know you will too. It's a fun series. So give it a watch. Thank you guys for watching once again. This is a community show. Please tell me what you think in the job form or in the comments below. Tell me what you're playing. Tell me anything ideas that you have, people you want on the podcast, all of that. This is just a start. We will grow over time. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Peace. I just want to party with you.